Okay,
Okay.
so next on the agenda, we do have the campus improvement plan, and that will be presented by Ms. Hope Rodriguez.
Yes. My name is Hope Rodriguez, or Esperanza Rodriguez. I am here. Part of my practicum class, I do have a requirement of completing 3 observations, and Ms. Kaufman was nice enough to agree to let me be her intern, come in and do some required observations and some hours. So you will be seeing me around campus what's left of the summer, maybe into summer. And so part of our discussion was seeing what out of the requirements that I need to do could I present here with y'all today. And so we decided to go over the CNA and CIP process. I was a teacher about 2 years ago at Foster Middle School, and I did participate in the SBDM committee, and I did participate in the CNA and CIP process all of the years that I was there. Of course, it has been a little while since I was there, but know that I was in your shoes and I did this every summer. I'm just going to go over the process with you, and also kind of trigger those memories of what you all were doing last year at this time. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, Macallan IC did provide some slides to share of what is required as a district and as a campus that we need to comply with in order to complete the CNA and CIP. So first we have Macallan IC's strategic plan where they have long-range goals. Then that goes into your district improvement plan, which would be the yearly goals, and the campus improvement plan, which would be here at McNeil High School. Okay, so as you know, SBDM and the CIP and CNA are all legal requirements. It says each year, in compliance with the education code and federal planning requirements, the district shall develop one district improvement plan, which is called the DIP, and a campus improvement plan for each campus. So what is required? You have the Texas Education Code, Chapter 39, the Elementary Secondary Education Act, and the ESSA. When you funnel that in, it's a comprehensive needs assessment, which we know as the CNA, the district improvement plan, and the campus improvement plan. So per federal and state law, a district and campus may only spend funds for resources when they have been clearly identified in the CNA, DIP, and CIP. So the district has a district improvement plan, a comprehensive needs assessment, which is a CNA, the campus improvement plan, and of course you have your budget, which you have your local, state, federal, and other monies. Okay, so it is a process. The very first thing that you have to do is to have your CNA. That's where you identify strengths and weaknesses, and you also have district and campus data that you would look at. You have your district improvement plan, which you align the department vision and essential components of the CNA with the appropriate funding sources, which then leads to your campus improvement plan, where you align your campus vision and essential components of the CNA and DIP with the appropriate funding sources. Any questions so far? No? Okay, so the process of the CNA, DIP, and CIP development process. So first you form district and campus site-based decision-making committees. We're already on the right track because we're all here. Second, you conduct a comprehensive needs assessment of the CNA to identify the needs. Then you have district improvement plan and campus improvement plans. They must be written to address the needs that were identified in the CNA. Then you link the plan to local, state, and federal funding. All purchases should be linked to the DIP, CIP based on the CNA. Number 5, you implement the district improvement plan and campus improvement plan. Then you use formative and summative measures to evaluate the DIP and CIP and link to the CNA. Okay, so that's basically what we have to do every single year in order to be in compliance. Okay, district and campus site-based decision-making committees. We already have one, so we're good. The purpose is to assist the district and campuses as they plan, implement, and improve comprehensive district and school reform. Our goal is also to integrate district and school planning and improvement activities in ways that increase the capacity of the entire campus to ensure the academic success of all students. So of course, students are our number one priority, always. Here you have the ratio of what an SBDM committee should look like. You should have 2 to 3 teachers, a principal, a counselor, a social worker, assistant principal, parents and students of the enrolled campus or the district. You should have about 2 community members. You should have 2, as well as business members. You should have 2. And so this is what our pie chart would look like for us math people or science people or social studies. Everybody. I like to look at this. Okay. Again, we have a flow, the comprehensive needs assessment. So what is it that we're going to assess? The outline of the CNA consists of 8 to be evaluated. The first one is demographics, student achievement, school culture and climate, staff quality, recruitment and retention, curriculum, instruction and assessment, family community involvement, school context and organization, and of course the big one here at McAllen ISD is technology. Okay, the DAP and CIP essential components. One purpose of the DAP and CIP is to align your department and campus vision and essential components of the improvement plan with the appropriate funding sources. The outline of the DAP and CIP consists of goals, performance objectives, strategies, and strategy funding. Okay, here's a sample of what a CIP should look like. As you can see, you have your goal, your objective, the strategy that we have implemented or about to implement, who are the people responsible, the timeline, the resources, which is where our money is coming from, and an evaluation. Did that strategy work? Did it not? How are we going to evaluate it? Okay, everything that we do, we must be held accountable with ourselves, with our campus, with our district. Okay, so what is coming up next? In 2019-2020, we're going to elect a new SBDM committee. If their terms have expired, we're going to collect data, have SBDM committee review data and answer questions provided. For example, for all of the 8 areas of the CNA, we're going to conduct a gap analysis. We're going to record all data, feedback on Excel and CNA, data, super important. I love data. Develop strategies and action steps. We're going to enter activities into DMAC, and as well as we're going to upload the CNA, the agendas, handouts, theater resources, etc. into DMAC. So we need to make sure we're meeting about the CNA and CIP. We need to have an agenda. We need to have all those signatures. Again, a reminder, CIP is a living document that continues to be updated as data continues to be analyzed throughout the SBDM committee. So it's not just once a year, but we should be constantly working with it and evaluating our strategies throughout the year. Okay, the timeline. When does all of this need to be done and completed? Let me see if I can get up there and see. May 6th through June 13th, that's when we should be working on the CNA, the comprehensive needs assessment, making sure that we're gathering all our data, looking at our strengths and weaknesses, answering all of those questions that we provided some samples of the CNA on the Excel, as well as the probing questions. In June, the 13th through the 20th, that's where you're going to commence the campus improvement strategies and entering it into DMAC. Then monthly through 2019 to 2020, you're going to be doing site-based decision-making committee. And then again in June 20th, you're going to do the campus improvement plan committee. And in October, you're going to have a campus executive summaries and campus performance objective summary. So that's kind of what y'all are going to be responsible for throughout the year. Any questions about that?
How many of you have worked already on the CIP and CNA for last year? Anybody in here? In the summer last year? You were, Ms. Valle?
It was Sally, Gloria,
Laura
Perez,
Perez, myself, Dr. Garza,
Dr. Garza.
Gloria Garcia. Who's the other one?
Was Carlos in it? I give it?
Carlos.
Carlos,
Yes, Carlos.
Okay. Any of you planning on being on it this year for summer work? You wanna do it again, Ms. Valle? Okay. Anybody else?
It's about 3 to 4 days.
And Dr. Angel's interested,
But I'm doing
Laura's
Gold Star.
interested as well, Perez.
I think that's what usually happens. A lot of people are doing gold.
I'm doing Gold Star, if not, I would
Yeah.
help.
Okay.
That's
So it has to be.
So I guess just go back and then let us know who's gonna be the same people to do it again, and we'll get it going.
Cause y'all do it all day, right? For those
Yes.
3 or 4 days?
Mhm.
I'm in Gold Star till.
And y'all have the handout, right, that she gave out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, everyone does have a copy of that. Very good, and thank you for having those questions. Thank you, Ms. Kaufman. And if y'all can just go back and share with your departments everything that we're sharing, and like that, you're also in the loop of what's going on, and what we're deciding as a campus. Okay. These provide things to remember. I do believe when I was in SBDM, I was chosen to do the CNA and the CIP, and we did get a little stipend, so that's a perk of staying as well as looking at all that data. So if you want to do the CNA since you're in high school, you would get 4 days and you're allowed 6 staff to get paid, as well as if you're going to work on the CIP, you're allowed to get paid 2 days and have 8 staff. So yay! Okay, so now I'm gonna go and speak a little bit more focused on the different areas to elaborate on the requirements of the CNA. Of course, here we have the steps. Step 1, review the purpose and outcomes for conducting the CNA. 2, establish committees for each area of the CNA. Determine which types of data will be collected and analyzed by the committee to develop the school profile. 4, determine areas of priority and summarize the needs. And number 5, connect the CNA to district campus improvement plan development and the review process. Okay, so here I went ahead and I showed you the first example. This is on the Excel and this is the demographics. Some of the data that you're going to need to collect and some of the data sources that you can collect would be enrollment, attendance, ethnicity, gender, mobility, special program participation, at risk by category, teacher student ratios, graduation, completion, dropout, and GED rates, course class assignments, college, university, dual credit, AP enrollment. So this is some of the data that you would review. Then you would and then here you're going to list the actual data that you used. What were your data sources? A lot of this you can get from your taper report. And then here you would put your findings. What are your campus's strengths and what are your needs? And so here we see some of the work that the committee did last year. And then at the end, but it didn't fit, you would just summarize all of your findings in like a little summary in the bottom. Next, we have probing questions that go along with that, so like that you're able to be asking yourself, what is the information that I'm looking for? So it says each area of the CNA tool is noted below, along with probing questions to facilitate dialogue about the data. You're going to determine strengths and needs and develop priority and summary statements for each area. There may be other critical district and campus specific questions which are not reflected below. Committee members may generate a list of additional questions based on what do we want to know, why do we want to know, and what data do we have or need to address the questions. All of this came from the Comprehensive Needs Assessment Toolkit. So for example, some of the questions are, what do enrollment numbers indicate, and things like that. You do have copies of this as well. Okay. For student achievement, some of the data sources that you could look at is the state assessment data, TELPAs, and AMO results. It's actually here, sorry. I have it in the middle, so you can look at it. Advanced courses, dual enrollment data, standardized norms, reference tests, TSI courses, class-based graduation, classroom, and assessment and other data. Okay, the same, again, you're going to list the actual resources that you use, and then your strengths and weaknesses as a campus. These are your probing questions. For school culture and climate, you're going to be looking at surveys, questionnaires, focus groups, interviews, feedback data, classroom and school walkthrough data, parent conferences and meetings. That's the data that you're going to use to analyze your school's culture and climate. You're going to list the data that you receive, that you actually use, and then again, you're going to list the strengths of your campus and the needs of your campus. Again, those are the questions. Then you have staff quality, recruitment, and retention. The data source for this is teacher certification, qualification data, paraprofessional and other staff qualifications, staff effectiveness in relation to student achievement, the T-test and other staff effectiveness data, staff mobility, stability, social program qualifications, teacher-student ratios again, graduation completion, course class completion, and recruitment and retention. So that's the data that you're going to look for to compile your needs assessment. The next one is curriculum and instruction. You're going to look at the standards-based curriculum resources and materials, your scope and sequence, the foundation course, your enrichment course, technology, instructional design, delivery, high-yield strategies, lesson strategy, collaborative, horizontal, vertical team alignment, student-specific differentiated strategies, which we all do as a teacher, common benchmark assessments, as well as class, school, and special program schedules. So this is all the data that you can collect in order to fill out your needs assessment. Again, you're going to look at the strengths, needs, and then complete a summary, as well as answer these questions. Next, we have family and community involvement. Your potential data source there is the family and community participation counts by type of activity, parent volunteer information, parent activity evaluations and feedback, parent and community partnership data, mobility and stability, demographic data, as well as community service agencies and support services. These are all of the different data sources that you can get. Then again, you're going to come in with your strengths, your needs, and a summary, as well as complete these questions. Next, you have school context and organization. You have school structure or makeup, a decision-making process that has a lot to do with the flow chart that your school has, your master schedule, your leadership, supervision structure, support structure, for example, duty rosters, schedule for standard support services, school map and physical environment, program support and services, as well as communication, which you would have, for example, administration and teacher, either formal or informal. Again, you're going to come in and put the data that you actually used, where you got it from, what was your campus strengths, and what are some of your campus's needs. And again, here are some of the guiding questions that you can use to analyze your data, as well as I always like to fill this out so I know that I'm being thorough. Lastly, when it comes to the CNA, however, it's not the end of the presentation, sorry. You have technology, where you're going to get your data source to see how your campus is doing is you're going to have technology infrastructure networks, technology hardware and software, classroom technology needs by areas, your STAR chart, super important, professional development, teacher preparation, leadership, administrative support, resource allocations, technology policies and procedures, the technology plan, as well as assessment of technology skills. Again, you would I actually put the summary here. So you would list what you use. Here would be your strengths and your needs, and then this is what the summary actually looks like. What I like is that I'm not given just two options to look at data. I like that there's a plethora of selection that I can look and see how my campus is doing and really look at the data to really work for what we want is to increase our student achievement, for all of them to get as much learning as possible. So even though it seems like a lot, I like that I have all of that data to look at and to really analyze in order to better service our students. And then at the end, you're gonna have a committee self-assessment and reflection. You're going to make sure that everything was worked on, and then you're gonna put your name, signature, and date, of course. Okay, your campus improvement plan. Now, all of that was just looking at our needs. So like that, we can see, okay, what is our goal and our strategy for this upcoming year? What are we going to do? Because our needs change. What worked with our student last year is not going to work with our students this year, right? And every day, I always try to find myself, okay, how can I improve? What is my need? What can I do to make myself better, to make others better? And so that is what our CIP is. That's why it is always changing. It is constantly evolving. So our planning tool, as you can see, it is a wheel again because it's continuously flowing. You have your comprehensive needs assessment. You're going to establish SMART goals, determine measurable objectives, identify research strategies, define activities, which are your actions. You're going to determine other planning needs, implement the plan, and then you're periodically going to evaluate the progress. You're going to do formative and summative assessments. Okay, broken down. First, we're going to start off with our SMART goal. What is a SMART goal? It is aligned with the mission, vision, and beliefs of the campus. We're going to address priority needs, and we're also going to base it on data. Because as a campus, we might have, of course, to me, all of my needs are priority, right? But we have to prioritize A, B, and C. And then, do we have the funding allocated for those needs? Okay, so we need to do that based on data. So we're going to have guiding questions to complete our goals. So we're going to have, what should the organization strive to become? How do the goals support the organization's mission and vision again? How do the goals create a vision for change? How do the goals support the intended outcomes for student achievement? What is the alignment between the goals and federal and state expectations for student performance? Is the goal enough to inspire, yet is it attainable? What will the organization look like if one of the goals are attained? To what degree do the goals address the priority needs? So all of these questions is what should be guiding us to complete the CIP. So we want to make sure that we are specific. We'll define the outcome is clear to anyone who reads it. You want to make sure that we can all understand it. It provides enough detail so there is clarity for action. So for example, I have this example that says, I will lose weight. Okay, well that's a good goal, but a better example would be, I will lose 10 pounds by January 8th by reducing my caloric intake by 500 calories a day and exercising at least 20 minutes a day 4 times a week. See how that is specific? That is the goal that I can measure, right? Okay, so it's very specific. Do we see that? We're on target. It's not ambiguous. Okay, how is it measured? Can I measure it? Know if the goal is attainable, know when it has been achieved, identify the measurement data, and be able to determine it has been achieved. So for example, with my poor example over here, boo, you can actually measure it and see, okay, I can measure 10 pounds, I can measure 500 calories a day, I can measure 20 minutes a day 4 times a week. So you see how I can like create my checklist, because I love checklists, and see, okay, have I done this? Check, check, check. Okay, as opposed to, I can say I will lose weight, but if I don't hold myself accountable, am I gonna do it? I'll say, no, maybe tomorrow, right? Okay, is it attainable? That is an agreement with all stakeholders, what the goal should be. The goal may be a stretch, but it is possible with a team of resources, and clearly defined steps. So for example here, is it attainable? 10 pounds, it is attainable, okay? Are your results oriented and relevant? Who is responsible? Who are the support people? What are their urgent needs? The goals align with the results expected and the direction provided by the CIP and VIP. So again, we want to see results. My results will be that I will lose 10 pounds. As well as time-bound, very time-oriented. A specific date has to be set for achieving the goal. Time is appropriate for keeping goal performance focused on the target. So for example, here, January 8th would be my target. Okay, you want to do something that is realistic, but yet aspirable to do, okay? And so by giving yourself a timeline, you give yourself that time to work up to that goal, and then you can check yourself, okay, did I do it or did I not? Defining measurable goals, you identify specific measurable expected results aligned with your goals. You address indicators for improvement. You target all student populations. That is very important to us as teachers by targeting all your student populations. You focus on closing achievement gaps. Identify how goals and objectives will be reached. Include scientifically research-based strategies and identify a sustainable course of action. So that's what you're going to be looking for when you're writing your objectives. Okay, you're going to be determining their planning needs, so you need to provide clarity for those in the committee. Who is the person that's responsible for the strategy? What resources do we have? Make sure that we have a timeline. What is the evidence of the implementation? What is the evidence of the impact? As well as we're going to complete again formative and summative assessments to make sure that that strategy is working. Or if it's not working, you need to scratch it out and do something else. Okay, so first you're going to look at strategies, make sure that they're action steps, and then these are some of the guiding questions that you can be asking yourself, such as how are the strategies aligned with the objectives and goals, like we said. How can we document the strategy or initiative? If the strategy is funded through federal funds, how do we justify that it is supplemental? Whenever we're dealing with money, especially federal money, you want to make sure that your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and you have documentation for everything. Speaking from experience. Your CIP action responsibility. So who is going to be responsible? You're going to see that this section includes identifying a person or position responsible for ensuring the strategy or initiative and action steps are implemented as planned. So again, who should be assigned, what kinds of supports will be responsible, that the person is going to need, what knowledge and skills are needed by the responsible person, and what type of reporting is required to keep others informed. So you want to make sure that it's a highly qualified person that will be responsible for that. And that evaluation. Okay, your CIP resources. That is identifying needed resources, labeling funding sources, and static specific allocations is the minimum standard for improvement plan reporting. The resources in the improvement plan create the financial link and audit documentation for the accounting of federal, state, and local funds. When you're doing that, you will see is it important when identifying resources that specifics are reported. So your guiding questions are going to be, what are the financial resources needed to implement this strategy? What resources are required other than funding? How do the resources indicate the specific needs? And how do the resources support the initiative or action? Next is your timeline. Like we were talking about before, your guiding questions are going to be, what date will the strategy begin? What timeline will be used to monitor the implementation of the strategy? When will formative and summative evaluations occur? Your evidence. This is very important. Evidence of implementation and the evidence that it's impacting our students. So this section is the improvement plan describes the documented steps an organization uses to ensure that the strategies and activities are implemented with fidelity and how the impact will be measured. So your guiding questions are going to be, how do we know that the strategy or initiative is being implemented with fidelity? What outcomes do we expect the strategy or activity to yield? What is the documented evidence of full implementation within the organization? And what is the relationship between full implementation and classroom student performance? Your evaluation. Evaluating improvement plans has two dimensions, your formative and summative assessments. Your formative would be frequent, ongoing evaluation activities, and then your summative evaluation is conducted to assess the degree to which the district or campus actually accomplished this school year's targeted performance objectives. So what are you going to be looking for? You're going to be looking for what will be used to measure this implementation, what documentation will be used as data, what will be used to measure impact on student achievement, what other forms of assessment should be used, how will adjustments be made to the plan based on data collected during evaluation, and what are our timeline for formative and summative evaluations of our campus improvement plan. Any questions so far? No? Comments? Okay. Okay, so you need to periodically evaluate. This is your formative assessment. You're going to celebrate your successes, of course. You're going to establish processes and procedures for monitoring against attainment of goals and objectives. You're going to provide progress updates to staff and district. You're going to adjust the plan accordingly, and you're going to track and communicate changes. You're also going to periodically evaluate progress. This is your summative at the end. You're going to compare summative outcomes to goals and objectives. You're going to identify changes in outcomes for specific student populations. You're going to critically evaluate the system, identify where the system is getting results, and you're going to identify new insights in the planning process to refine the new cycle. So this is where you're going to see, okay, did it work or didn't it work? Are we going to keep it or are we not going to keep it? Is there something new that's out there? So I find this step, well, every step is very critical, but this is where I'm actually getting my answers to my questions. So I love this part, which is why I always tested every week as a teacher. Some kind of test, right? Because I wanted to see, are my kids getting it? Because I love data. Okay, program evaluation. Questions to ask. Is your campus implementing the school-wide program as it was intended? Because sometimes you intend to implement it a certain way, but then something happens during the year and it doesn't go exactly as we planned. So you're also going to be looking for, did your campus improve student achievement in meeting the state's academic standards to the desired level, particularly for those students who had been furthest from achieving the standards, okay? So you really want to see, did this really help the students that needed it the most? Okay, here we're going to say, is this you? Okay, now that we know everything that goes into the campus improvement plan, now that we know that we need to have a needs assessment, a lot of times I know I was guilty of it, say, like I had a wish list, right? I would go up to my administrator or my principal and say, hey, can we have this? And a lot of us were always like, oh, we can't. Man, they're so mean. No, I'm just kidding. We never thought that. But it was really what the committee should be asking when someone, a teacher or anyone comes up and says, hey, I would like to buy so-and-so. What we should be asking ourselves is it reasonable and necessary to carry out the intended purpose of the program? What need in our CNA does this address? From the CIP, can you describe program activity or strategy addressed by this expenditure? How will the expenditure be evaluated to measure a positive impact on student achievement? Now, if you can answer all of those and say yes, 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 then you got your want or need, right? But if not, right, I would be like, oh, I don't know what's in my CNA, I don't know what's in my CIP. So never mind. So then the administrator would say, okay, have a great day. But on the other hand, if I come prepared to my administrator and so let's just say I wanted books, right? I'm going to say, oh, the students will love these books. They're so colorful and new. And of course, our administrator is going to say, glad they're in the campus improvement plan, right? Or else you wouldn't get them. So just a little bit of teacher humor, because a lot of times I know it's easy as teachers, there's a lot of needs and wants in the classroom, and we want all these things for our students. However, we need to make sure that we always come back to these living documents and see, is there a need, and how is it directly correlated to our CNA and CIP? Do we have any questions about that? No? It was a lot. Now, before we go, I know that you all got to know a little bit about me. Is it okay if we go around the table just so like that I know who you are and what you do? Is that okay? Okay, so I don't know where we want to start. Okay, go ahead.
Somebody is on the ROTC instructor.
The ROTC, very nice to meet you, sir.
I'm Salazar, I'm with Parent Involved.
Current assistant,
Millie Cadet, I'm one librarian.
library,
I'm one of the freshman teachers.
special teachers. Very nice to meet you all.
I'm Sally Valle or Linda Valle, Spanish Department for Foreign Languages.
Oh, okay. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yvonne Uribe, biology.
Biology. Very nice to meet you. And
Elizabeth Gonzalez, Dean of Instruction.
Dean of Instruction.
Monica Kaufman, principal here.
Okay, and just so like that, we can get to know a little bit about me. I'm not just a stranger that's coming in and saying, who is making me sit through this presentation that we love? My name is Esperanza Rodriguez, like I was saying. I am going through the practicum course at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. I got my master's back in 2015. However, UTRGV doesn't require you to get your principal certification. It is an option. And so I was excited to do it. However, I was praying for a baby. I tried all of that. And then he came.
Oh.
And then so I had to be on light duty. And then he came. So it took me about 2 years. And now he just turned 2. And so now I said, okay, now is the time to go back and complete my certification. When I applied at Region 1, not all positions require a principal certificate. And so I was able to get a job that way. But however, I do have a few more years to go right before I retire. I thought, you know what, let me go back to school and get my certification. However, the department wants to make sure that you have all of the campus training. And so Ms. Kaufman was nice enough to let me come and shadow her. She was my principal when I was at Fossum. And so I said, can I come and shadow you? However, I know that the staff is not familiar with my face. I know if I was over there, then people would say, oh, hi, Hope, right? But here, I'm a stranger to us all. But I want you to feel comfortable with me. Everything that we discuss is confidential, right? I am videotaping us, but and it is going on YouTube, but it's just so my professor can have the link. Once once this is submitted, I will go back and delete it. However, I guess things have changed. Before the mentors our campus mentors would actually come in and sit here with us. But now with using technology, now we can videotape it and submit it to him, which I don't know what's easier or not. This is my first time taking an online course, which is very different. I was always a face-to-face person. I'm the type that has to write it down and observe and ask questions. I'm a people person. That's how I learn. That's how I internalize all of our material along with data. And so I'm learning all of those aspects of class, which I love because I get to experience all of these different things. And I get to be a student again. I'm almost done. This is my 3rd presentation. And I'm very happy and thankful that everyone decided to stay here and listen to a stranger. But I want you to know who I am, and I wanted to get to know all of you because know that that's important. I taught for 5. I did social services for 2 years right after. I have a minor in rehabilitation services, and then I became a teacher. And then I've been at my position for about 2.5 years. Right after Ms. Kaufman left us, I left as well. It's like, I'm not staying here without Ms. Kaufman. But thank you. I want to thank all of you for taking the time and being here with us today. Thank you.
And she was co-teaching with Macias, Ruben Macias. So Mr. Macias, our AP, they were both social studies teachers together.
Yes. Oh, yes. That was my subject, social studies. And then my last year I did ELA. I did the classroom size reduction. But yeah, social studies and ELA are my passion. I was just saying how I had to go to a conference in San Antonio, and we were walking by the Alamo, and I'm like, do you know we're walking through history? I'm telling my directors, and I said, do you know what happened here? And so, and they're like, stop, history teacher. dressed up. So you're always a teacher, right? So thank you again.
Thank you,
Thank you. You all
Hope.
have a great Rodriguez.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Hope, that's the kind of people I have here. They're very kind, very open. So I appreciate all of you staying. Thank you all.
Yes, thank
And y'all
you.
have a great
Have
afternoon.
night.
Bye.
We get to keep these, right?
Yes, I made these for everyone. But you can.
Hope, can you sign in also on the?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to stop your video?
Yes, please.